It started like any other Thursday on the ranch, calm, quiet, and a little too peaceful. The sun was just creeping over the tree line. The cattle were grazing near the creek, and I was sipping coffee on my porch when I noticed something odd. The far fence line, the one bordering the edge of the forest reserve, was open. Not just open, cut clean through. That fence wasn't an ordinary one. It was part of a federally funded wildlife barrier designed to keep the protected elk and wild mustangs from wandering onto private land or nearby highways. Every post had been inspected, every gate sealed. I'd signed the contract myself when the state installed it, and now someone had sliced it like it was wrapping paper. I hopped on my ATV and sped down the trail, dust kicking up behind me. When I got close, I saw the evidence right away. Bolt cutters, a discarded pair of gloves, and, unbelievably, a familiar pink water bottle labeled Karen H. Of course, my next-door neighbor, Karen Holloway, president of the HOA, part-time busybody, and full-time chaos magnet. She'd been ranting for months that the fence ruined her view of the mountains and blocked nature from feeling natural. She even filed a complaint demanding that I lower the fence for aesthetic harmony. I'd laughed it off, until now, because now she'd crossed the line. Literally. By noon, the situation had gone from bad to worse. A herd of elk, easily 40 of them, had wandered through the cut and into my ranch fields. They trampled part of my hay crop, scared the cattle, and made themselves right at home. And since they were a protected species, I couldn't just shoo them away. That fence existed specifically to prevent this kind of migration. The Department of Wildlife didn't take that lightly. I called them immediately. "Sir, we'll send a ranger," the officer said. "But if you know who cut that fence, don't touch it. That's a federal violation." I grinned. "Oh, I know exactly who cut it." Around 3 p.m., I spotted her again, Karen herself, marching across the field in a sun hat and holding her phone like she was filming an episode of HGTV. Crimes Against Landscaping. "Karen," I yelled, "you have any idea what you've done?" She looked offended. "Excuse me? I'm helping restore the natural flow of the environment. That fence was ugly and unnecessary." I pointed to the herd of elk munching on my crop. "Those are protected animals, ma'am. You just broke a federal wildlife law." She waved her hand. "Oh, don't be dramatic. Animals belong in nature. I was just setting them free." Before I could respond, 2 black trucks pulled up behind us. Wildlife rangers. Perfect timing. They got out, badges shining, hands on belts. "Ma'am," one ranger said, "did you interfere with this fence line?" Karen crossed her arms. "I was improving it. The HOA voted that it was too tall." The ranger frowned. "Ma'am, this barrier is federal property. You can't modify or remove it without authorization." She scoffed. "Federal schmederal. It's on his land." The ranger turned to me. "Sir, this your property?" I nodded. "Yes, sir. I lease it under state wildlife protection." He sighed. "Then it's under our jurisdiction." Karen still didn't get it. "You can't arrest me. I'm the HOA president." The ranger actually laughed. "Ma'am, we don't answer to the HOA." When they put the cuffs on her, she shrieked like a banshee. "This is illegal. I demand to call the HOA lawyer." The ranger smiled. "You can call whoever you want, from county jail." They read her rights right there in the middle of my field, with elk grazing behind her like they were part of the audience. Over the next week, the story exploded. The local paper ran a headline, "HOA president arrested for cutting wildlife fence, causes $180,000 in environmental damage." The Department of Wildlife sued her for intentional interference with conservation property. The HOA tried to distance themselves, claiming she acted alone. But since she'd used HOA funds to rent tools for fence beautification, the whole board got audited. They froze their accounts. Meetings stopped. The HOA, once the loudest voice in the valley, went silent overnight. Meanwhile, I got a personal visit from the head ranger, who thanked me for reporting it. "You helped us catch someone we've been getting complaints about for months," he said. "You'd be surprised how often these HOA folks think they can override federal law." I grinned. Nothing surprises me anymore. A month later, I was repairing the last section of the fence when Karen's husband drove by, looking exhausted. He rolled down the window. She's, still dealing with the lawyers, he muttered. I nodded sympathetically. I'm sure she's learning a lot about boundaries. He just sighed and drove off. Now, every time I see that stretch of fence gleaming under the sun, I think about how one woman's obsession with control turned into a full-blown federal case. And on the gate, I nailed a new sign, Wildlife Barrier. Do not touch, unless you enjoy federal prison. Right under it, in smaller letters, I added, Looking at you, Karen.